Hi, everybody. I know I haven't been live in a week, 2 weeks. Life has been crazy, and I've just been catching my breath. So here we are. And I've actually been wanting to talk about this for a while. I was actually inspired by Dochi. I saw one of her YouTube videos which says core values dot dot dot. What do I really give an F about? And I thought, cool. I'm gonna see if I can identify my own core values and also express them. So here I am. Hi everyone. Also, this is super rough, as you know. I thought about this a lot, and also I had some help from ChatGPT. So let me just read this out a little bit. So I asked ChatGPT, like, how can I find my core values? And first, they said that I should self-reflect and observe and question what really matters to me. And so that's what I did. I reflected on my past experiences. I think about moments in my life where I felt deeply fulfilled or just really upset, like really like strong like yeses or strong nos to identify what my values are. And surprisingly, I have a clear answer now. So I just shortlisted them to 5 core values. And I also think that these values bleed into my artistry, which is really interesting. So here I am sharing it with you guys. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me live. Oh my gosh, we're in real time. Okay. So I'm just going to start with my first one, which is reliability. So I think being reliable is one of my core values. I like to be consistently dependable and trustworthy. And I like when people feel like they can count on me. And I also like feeling capable that I can count on myself. So if I say anything, I feel confident that I can stick to my word and I can do it or try my best and that I mean it. I know sometimes people change their minds and they try it but then it doesn't make sense and they pivot. But at least like being reliable, what that means is you follow through your promises, you meet deadlines, you perform your responsibilities without fail. And a simple thing that I do every day is, for example, I like being punctual. So if work says your call time is at 10 a.m., I will be there at 10 a.m. And that's just like one way that I prove that I'm reliable over and over again. If I say that I'll be there, I will be there. And if something changes and something happens, at least I will also tell them that like I can't make it anymore. But I don't disappear, like I actually follow up. And the thing with core values too, the reason why I know that that's important to me is because whenever I'm not able to fulfill my promise to people, whenever I find myself not being reliable, I feel deeply sad and I feel really disappointed in myself and I feel really guilty. And so that's how I recognize that that's part of my core value. Yeah. And so I definitely try my best to be as reliable as possible and yeah, be a reliable person, is someone who others can trust to be there when needed, to keep their word and to act with integrity, even in challenging situations. And then ChatGPT says, in relationships, whether personal or professional, reliability builds trust and helps create stability, as people know they can rely on you to act in a consistent and responsible way. Hmm. And, I'm like the third kid, also like the youngest. And maybe because I'm also a girl and like an Asian household, but I wonder if me being reliable had anything to do with my parents giving me a lot of responsibilities as like a female, and I wonder if it's also because I'm a Virgo. I have no idea, but yeah, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to know that like people can rely on me and that I can be responsible, and it gives me confidence as well. And then next, my second core value is kindness. And the word kindness is so difficult to define. So I also asked ChatGPT, can you define what kindness is as a core value? And this is what ChatGPT said. And by the way, I asked ChatGPT for some help because sometimes I know what that feels like my core values, but I can't necessarily express it in my words. So credit to ChatGPT, AI, thank you. Because sometimes when I think about kindness, I just think about, oh, like you're just a good person, or like it's just a feeling that you get from someone. When someone's kind to you, like they smile, they're polite, they're like sweet, they like help you without needing anything in return, something like they don't hurt you, I think is kind. But ChatGPT really, really hit it on the head of the nail. Okay, so ChatGPT said kindness is the act of being considerate, compassionate, and generous toward others without expecting anything in return. It's about showing empathy, offering help, and doing things that make others feel valued and cared for. Kindness can also be expressed through simple gestures like listening attentively, offering support, or just being patient with someone's struggles. It's rooted in understanding and respect for others' feelings and needs. At its core, kindness is about creating connections, spreading positivity, and making the world feel a little brighter through thoughtful actions and words. Yeah. You know, I think when I was writing down my core values, generosity was one of them. But then once ChatGPT defined what kindness is, I was like, oh my gosh, it hits compassion and empathy and generosity and also consideration. And I was like, that is exactly what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, I also don't know how core values are formed, but all my life, people have said that I'm a very generous person. I wonder if that stems from the feeling of feeling like a burden sometimes. Like as I said, I'm the youngest, AKA the accident, like the super accident. um, I don't think I was planned, but I came to be, and obviously, like I'm loved by my parents and my family, and I've been taken care for, and I'm very grateful. But I think because I feel like a burden, like child is expensive. Um, I just want, maybe I'm overcompensating, and I like want to just give back. I have no idea, but somehow like generosity is one of my core values too. I think um yeah, like I think it's just so beautiful to be a giver and to be generous. And again, like these are just my core values. I know that it's like everyone's different, and this is just something that I'm realizing about myself, and I feel like it strikes a chord with me. And so I never want to forget this. And this exercise was good for me to help express what my core values are. And it feels good. Okay, so reliability and kindness are my core values. And I just want to emphasize on kindness, like the details of it is being considerate, compassionate, and generous towards others, showing empathy, offering help, and doing things that make others feel valued and cared for. It just makes me feel so good. And I think when I see that core value in others too, I really like feel much closer to them, and I feel more connected. And that's one of them. And the third core value is bravery, which is the ability to face fear, uncertainty, or adversity with courage and determination. It's about taking action despite feeling afraid or unsure of the outcome. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. Rather, it's the willingness to move forward in spite of it. And it can manifest in many ways, such as standing up for what you believe in, taking risks to pursue your goals, or being vulnerable and honest even when it's difficult. Bravery often requires stepping out of your comfort zone and challenging yourself to grow, even if it means facing challenges head on. Yeah, it's also like sometimes I think about like, oh, how did I become this person? Or how did these core values form? I wonder if it's a nature or nurture thing. Maybe I should ask ChatGPT. Actually, let me just ask ChatGPT right now. How are core values formed? Are they nature or nurture? I think it's a combination of both. Core values are shaped by both nature and nurture, a mix of innate tendencies and life experiences. Okay, that makes sense. But I think it's so interesting because as a kid, I also noticed that I was very brave. One of the examples or memories that I have was, I think it was the first time when I realized that I was a brave person, was my dad came home from work and my brothers and I were, I'm not sure what prompted this challenge, but we were afraid to go up the stairs when the lights are off. And so my dad was like, okay, he turned off the lights to go up the stairs to their master bedroom. And they were like, okay, the first person that can run up the stairs wins. And I was the first person that ran up the stairs. And I realized then that I was brave because I was scared that, I don't know, a ghost or like a monster was gonna like attack me from the darkness. But at the same time, my logical brain was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna die from this. And I know the path up. And if anything happens, my parents are like a few steps away, and at least they'll be witnesses if anything goes wrong. But then I just kind of like I did feel fear. I did feel like scared, but I just kind of like bit my tongue, put my feelings aside really quickly, and just execute on the action. And yeah, and I think bravery is a core value of mine too. I think there have been moments in my life where I feel like the best version of myself or like proud that I'm brave, and I take risks and I stand up for my friends when people are bullying them. One thing that is really interesting to me, is that sometimes when there's an opportunity for me to stand up for myself, uh, I don't know how to really go about it because sometimes I feel like bravery and kindness, it's like I'm trying to understand, like if I'm hurt by someone, I usually like me and my truth will sit in silence. And I don't think I'm a very combative, especially if I feel hurt or like wronged. And also this is like not the best. Like not this is definitely a weakness of mine of like holding grudges. Like I was just talking to my boyfriend about this, that like it's something that I obviously work on, but to let go and to also practice more compassion and understanding where people are coming from. But anyways, yeah, I think bravery, kindness, and being reliable is definitely one of my core values. Okay, so I have two more core values left, and they are giving it your all. Okay, so that's the fourth one. I realize like when I do anything, I just feel like I have to give my 110%. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is, like even if I fail, like, even if my 110% isn't good enough and I fail or I'm not like the best, I understand that there's a process, and as long as I did my best, I feel at peace. And it applies to my relationships, it applies to my work, my jobs, and what it means. Part of like the core values, giving it your all, is commitment, excellence, and integrity. It reflects a strong dedication to putting your best effort into everything you do, no matter the outcome. It's about showing up fully, striving for high standards, and giving your time, energy, and skills with the intention to do your best. This value emphasizes being persistent, disciplined, and focused, while also demonstrating a sense of responsibility and pride in your work or actions. It's not just about the result, but about the process of dedicating yourself fully to whatever you take on, regardless of challenges. Yeah. Um, I don't know where I learned that, but I've just been it's kind of like the only thing that I know how to do is like to give it my all. And in some ways it's really great, but in other ways I think not understanding how to control it, like harness it, and to understand how to pull back and to not burn out and to save your energy, to be more strategic with like full force. I think that's something that I'm learning more as I get older. For example, we've we've been singing and dancing a lot more, and my singing coach was telling me, like, Chelsea, like, you're giving your 200%, but I only need you to give your 100%. And even sometimes when I'm like on set and I'm an actor, and I'm also very close with my cast and crew, and when I know we're doing like an episode that's um, new, and there's like a new lead, and there's like maybe we're acting with kids and it's their first time, and like um like Alan's not there, and everyone is like just trying to make the best thing. I will just maybe help people so much, and like like just give it my all, that sometimes I just get super tired. um and so I think it's been also like the beauty of that core value is also understanding that it's also part of a weakness sometimes, because you can, like, less doesn't mean, I mean, less is more sometimes, and just like giving it your all sometimes, like less is more. So it's definitely an art form. But I definitely realize that giving it my all is in my core value, and it probably is because like commitment, excellence, and integrity are really important to me. And obviously, as you know, like, I just reflecting on my experiences, I'm learning about myself through like my core values being presented to me. Okay, and last but not least, my number 5 core value, it is curiosity. Hi, everyone in the chat. Yes, yes, I see you guys, but sorry, I'm just trying to get through my core values. But thank you. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys so much. Um, okay, my last core value, but not least, is curiosity. And what I mean by that is that it's rooted in learning, growth, and open-mindedness. It reflects a deep desire to understand, explore, and discover new ideas, perspectives, and experiences. Curiosity drives you to ask questions, seek knowledge, and challenge the status quo, fostering continuous self improvement and innovation. It encourages a mindset of exploration where you're not just accepting things at face value, but actively seeking to expand your understanding of the world. Curiosity often leads to creativity and problem solving, as it opens up new possibilities and ways of thinking. Yeah, I think I realized I realized that I became more and more curious the older I got. And I think having left Malaysia when I was 15 to come to the States, being in a boarding arts school where a lot of people there had different ideals and perspectives and opinions than I did growing up. And so I think being in an environment that was so different from my innate like place where I grew up and was raised is so eye-opening to me, and it really encouraged me to open my mind to learn and to grow and to realize that that's the journey of life. You learn something new every day, and you're constantly challenging yourself, you're constantly improving, you're constantly being reminded of some lessons that you learned in the past, and it kind of gives you wisdom too, through learning so many things and experiencing so many things and people and places. So, yeah, I would say reliable, kindness, bravery, giving your all, and curiosity are my 5 core values. And again, like there are definitely times where I didn't execute on these core values, and it deeply saddened me and I regret it, it and that's how I know that it's part of my core values. But for the most part, I definitely feel like these values are what make me and what drives my actions and my intentions, and what also like builds the strong relationships I have around me. And and oh, did you hear that dog barking outside? And and that's it. All right, now I'm gonna look at the chat. Hi Kadiha. King Nada says, I'm kind, but people are just not kind to me. Yeah. But like being kind and being a giver, like that the whole part of being kind is that you don't expect anything in return. And the thing is, like, you might have those core values of being a kind person, but maybe other people don't have those core values of being a kind person. Maybe their core values are different. Like maybe their core values are like achievement, or their core values is something else, and maybe because they're driven by those core values that might be different from yours, that maybe being kind is just not part of their core values. And again, like the open-mindedness of like accepting that there are other people that are very different from you, yeah, is also part of the curiosity core value. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just wanted to hop on here and share this, and and yeah, I think I never really thought about my core values and expressing them, because no one have it's not really a topic of conversation that people really like ask like outright, like what are your core values, like what are your top 5 core values. And but it's something that people always mention, like people would always say, yeah, I think our values align and that's why we work so well together, or like I think our values align and that's why we're best friends. But people don't necessarily like list them down like bullet point by bullet point. And just reflecting on my memories and my experiences as a person really opened my mind to these core values. So I am really grateful for stumbling upon Dochi's like core values video. I think her core values, actually, she talked more about her artistry, like her core values for the standard of her art. And they were honesty, detail, and encounter, which meant like she needed to be honest with her art She needed her art to be detailed and specific, and she also needs her art to have an encounter. And what that encounter means is that to allow the audience or herself to feel changed or have a evolution through her art. And I actually agree with those values, and that's a good standard to set. It's definitely hard because, like she was saying, she doesn't want to live for the applause of other people. She doesn't want to be on someone's time and say, like, you have to produce a song in like 10 days because the audience needs it, because like you need to churn this out. I think for her artistry, it just doesn't work like that. She's like, unless I'm being honest with myself, it's detailed and like it inspires me and it gives me like an awakening, or like makes me have an epiphany or something, feel spiritual, connected, is from God. She's like, I'm not gonna do it. And she's holding herself to that standard. And again, with these core values, that could be the standard, but sometimes we also slip up. Sometimes we can't always be consistent. But I think when we slip up and when we don't honor or follow our core values, I think that's when we feel like we're not being true to ourselves. Yeah. So that's really interesting. This is just like really interesting to think about. And I'm sure I actually have more than 5 core values, because there's so many core values out there that I agree with, like honesty, accountability, like doing the right thing, uh, family, health, all those things. But these are just the 5 core values that I feel like are specific and that I just thought about today. Cool. King Nada says, I made a quote: a seed will soon become a tree, which means that you will grow if you keep trying, and you will soon get that success. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this live. Take care and remember to keep being true to yourself, and experience life with what life has to offer. And yeah, I hope that you have the best day, the best life, and take care. I'll see you on the next live. Bye.